Made by SR. Short video about the Cold War. The Cold War was a rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. After World War II, involving political, economic, and propaganda fronts. It began after the surrender of Nazi Germany in 1945 and continued until the end of the war. The Cold War reached its peak in 1948-53, with the Soviets installing left-wing governments in Eastern Europe and the US and British forming NATO to resist the Soviet presence. The Cold War reached its peak in 1958-62, when the US and Soviet Union developed intercontinental ballistic missiles, leading to the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. This crisis showed that neither the US nor the Soviet Union were ready to use nuclear weapons due to fear of retaliation. The two superpowers signed the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty of 1963, banning above-ground nuclear weapons testing. Throughout the Cold War, the US and Soviet Union avoided direct military confrontation in Europe and engaged in actual combat operations to keep allies from defecting or overthrowing them. The Soviet Union sent troops to preserve communist rule in East Germany, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and Afghanistan, while the US supported invasions of Guatemala, Cuba, Dominican Republic, and Grenada. In the 1970s, tensions eased with the Strategic Arms Limitation talks, SALT, and renewed tensions in the early 1980s. However, the Cold War began to break down in the late 1980s under the administration of Mikhail S. Gorbachev, who dismantled the totalitarian aspects of the Soviet system and began efforts to democratize the Soviet political system. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 led to 15 newly independent nations, including a Russia with a democratically elected, anti-communist leader. The end.